Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. In today's episode, this is my second episode, and what we're going to talk about today is the obviously what we got going on this weekend with the NFL championship round. So we have the Commanders versus the Eagles, the first game, and in the second game, we got the Chiefs and the Bills, which is probably the bigger game of the two. And when we talk about that, first we're going to say is we have it's crazy, man. We live in a society today where people just going to hate and hate and hate. And the first thing I want to expunge on a little bit before I dive into this weekend's games is think about it, folks. Dynasty is needed in sports. First of all, it's always been proven that whenever you have dynasty in sports, obviously you're going to have one faction that hate whoever's playing. For example, the Patriots and the Chiefs, right? There is a statistic I saw. It says in the last 14 championship games, it's either been Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. That speaks volume because when you look at it, Brady had a dominance for a while. Patrick has been the seventh straight, so that means Brady's been the seventh straight AFC championship games. And if you look at it, well run organizations are going to prosper the most. Period. End of story. Now let's dive in a little bit to last weekend's game. So we had last weekend's game, and I think the ratings were on ESPN was about 45 million or something. What that tuned in into the game. I may have misspoke, but that tuned in into that game. And what people are focusing on is crazy because people are focusing on the fact that there was two calls that were against Patrick Mahomes. Now the second one, the first one, the one with Will Anderson when he pushed him in the chest, I don't know if he could have really threw the flag on that one. But in the second one, if you look at it in real time, you would see, especially if anybody remembers what happened to Trevor Lawrence, the NFL is going to protect its quarterbacks. Period. End of story. The quarterbacks is what you know you have teams, but the quarterback is what generates revenue for anybody. And if you look at it, look at the four remaining teams. What do they have? Elite quarterback play. You got Jaden Daniels, rookie, elite. You got Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen, you can probably make an argument here and there, but we don't know. I thought to me Jalen played a lot better last year than he did this year, and it could be because of the Saquon effect of having a running back like Saquon who's so dynamic that Jalen doesn't have to do as much as he's done in previous seasons. And then you have Josh Allen, then you have Patrick Mahomes. So the four remaining teams are on elite quarterback play. But if you watch that game, those two calls were not game changers. I think the second call extended the drive, but it's what the Texans did not do. The Texans did not play a really good game. When you watch the game, what did they do? They gave up 8 sacks. They had 2 missed field goals and an extra point. So if you convert those 2 missed field goals and extra point, what are we talking about? That's 7 points. That makes a difference because now, if the Texans go and drive, the Texans have a chance to win with a field goal. But I think what everybody is focusing on is that, oh man, we're just tired of the Chiefs. They got the Chiefs fatigue. Oh, we're tired of them. Oh my gosh. And so if you look at any sports, baseball, Dodgers have been dominating as of late. They've won what, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 5, something like that. Then you look at the Warriors for a while. The Warriors were that dominant team when they went on that run from 2016, or when they went on that run from 2015. to 2019. They went to 5 straight finals. Then the Heat, the previous 4, went to 4 straight finals. And what people are going to do is hate. But what people don't realize is well run organizations will always prosper. And it's the little things. Bill Belichick, when he was the coach of the Patriots, used to have wet ball drills, would practice in the snow. Anything to give advantage. And now people are claiming, oh, the Chiefs are cheating. All the NFL wants the Chiefs to win. Listen, man, these guys are athletes and they're playing at the highest level. There's no reason for them to need. I can only imagine you put in all that work in the off season. Only the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, and now you're just gonna capitulate to what the NFL wants. That's not how it works, folks. So I think if the Texans, who we know their O line was terrible all season, it just was. Their O line was terrible. CJ Stroud was probably, I think he was the top 3 quarterbacks sacked. Actually, it was Caleb Williams, then CJ Stroud, and then Patrick Mahomes. So their offensive line just got, everybody knew that. If you watch the Texans all season, you would know their O-line is not good. So they're going to need to correct that in the offseason. But they didn't do the little things to win. And I think that's what is frustrating, is because you see this other team like the Texans and you say, okay, they have a chance to win, but they miss out on those little things, giving up 8 sacks, field goals, extra points. You can't have that in a playoff game. You just can't. So the easy thing to do, blame the refs, blame the NFL, blame the Chiefs. But people don't want to admit well-run organizations always have the upper hand against any, and that's in business in general. So if folks do not want the Chiefs to continue prospering, you got to beat them. You got to beat them. You got to do the little things. You almost have to play perfect to win. And you got to do those little things to get there. And I think until you find that team, and the last team that was able to do it was the Bengals, but the Bengals didn't win the AFC Championship game. Now, can the Bills go in Arrowhead and win? Yes, they can. The Bills can definitely do it, because if you look at it, in the regular season, the Bills are 4-1 against the Chiefs in the last 5 seasons. And they have beaten the Chiefs 3 out of those 4 times in Arrowhead. The last playoff game they played, and what was it, 2022, when they had or 23, can't remember the year. Well, no, 22. And then they had that back and forth Arrowhead. The first year, the Bills got there, Arrowhead. Last year, when they played each other, that was in Buffalo. So what the Chiefs has told the Buffalo Bills is, no matter where we play you guys, Buffalo, Arrowhead, in the playoffs, we're gonna beat you guys. So that's why this weekend I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win. And guess what, folks? They're not gonna need the refs to beat the Bills. I think that game is gonna be 27-17. The Chiefs go on to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight years. And what are we gonna say then? Oh, it's the Bills and the Bills mafia. The Bills got cheated. No, the Chiefs are gonna go in there, because if you look at that last game when they played in the regular season that the Bills won, the Chiefs didn't have their best cornerback, Watson. Hollywood Brown was not back yet. I think Pacheco still wasn't healthy. They were missing one of their O-line. So now in this game, they get everybody back. And I think those guys have more of an impact versus what the Bills are getting. Now, getting Matt Milano back is big. That's going to be big for the Bills. But I think the Bills are going to have to rely heavily on their run game, because the Bills don't have an elite receiver. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, Amari's not elite. Getting Keon Coleman back, he hasn't been that much of an impact this year for the Bills. I think this is a game that whoever has the most turnovers will will lose, and I think it will be the Bills. This is the game where some of these guys who haven't been there for the Bills or who has, I don't know. Like I feel like it's the moment is just going to be too big for the Buffalo Bills. And I think the Chiefs are going to use all this talk about refs and all this. The Chiefs are going to use that as a motivational factor to go and beat the Bills. And then the fact there's a lot the Chiefs got riding on this. 3 straight Super Bowls. Travis Kelce may retire at the end of the season. So the Chiefs, like, man, not a lot of teams get this opportunity, right? So we take a look. I pulled up something on Chat GPT, and and I'm still trying to get used to learning how to do share screen and all that. But you can look it up on Chat GPT, and the Patriots from that 2001-2019 when they were in the Super Bowl, the Patriots averaged about 42 Nielsen rating. They averaged about 42 or something to that nature. Okay, so now their highest rated was when they lost to the Giants the second go around, and they had 47. And then their lowest rated Super Bowl was when they played the Rams the first time. So that was when they were called the St. Louis Rams. So that was their lowest Super Bowl. Actually, the highest rating, my bad, the highest rating was 47.5, was against the Seahawks. And that was because of the Malcolm Butler interception. Even when they came back and beat the Falcons, that was not rated higher. And then I said, okay, well, let's look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs, the first time they played the 49ers, 41.6. The second time when they played the Buccaneers, we're coming from COVID, so I don't know. That probably can be an asterisk. That's 38.2. The Eagles was 40. That was still getting the numbers are going. And then last year against the 49ers, they were at 42.1. I guarantee you, folks, if any team makes the Super Bowl this year, they will not have any ratings higher than the Chiefs. Period. They just won't. The Bills, I think the lowest would be the Bills and the Commanders. Now, the Bills, Eagles, the ratings could be a little high there, but they're not going to be anything higher than what the Chiefs got. Because it has been proven in sports, people like and hate winners. When a team wins, but when a team keeps on winning, people are finding way to hate, and it's just been proven. But I got the Chiefs to beat the Bills 27-17. I think Mahomes is going to have a great game. Allen's going to have a good game too, but I think it will be a turnover or two on the Bills side that's going to cause them to lose this game. So I'm going to go with that. Then the second game, or the first game technically, is we have the Commanders Eagles. This is the third time these two teams have played each other. Man, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you got to be kicking yourself in the rear end, if that makes sense. But it just goes to show you well-run organizations. Look at the Commanders years ago. They had Daniel Snyder as their owner. This new owner, Josh Harris, comes in, Magic Johnson, and in 1 year changed the whole culture of the team. And look at them now. Jerry Jones, take notes. The owner doesn't always need to be up in the videos. The owners doesn't need to always be telling and no. You hire people, let them do their job, man. The Cowboys are now the last team in the NFC. The Cowboys, listen, I might date myself. The Cowboys hasn't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. I was in middle school when that happened. That is wow. 1995, you haven't been in the NFC Championship game? Man, that is wow. Since 1995, folks. That is wow. Again, I'm saying that. And I know I'm bringing in the Cowboys because I live in Texas, but To me, until Jerry Jones learns to just be an owner, hire people, put them in position, and hire smart people to do their jobs, man, forget, man. The Cowboys, that record's going to continue. Jerry Jones is the absolute problem for the Dallas Cowboys. He is the absolute problem. He doesn't want to admit it. But to have two of your arch rivals, the Commanders and the Eagles, and if you were to say who's even both those teams are, I mean, both don't like the Cowboys, but still. And to have them in the NFC Championship game, that has to be gut wrenching for Jerry Jones. But you know what? As much I like to see this happen, but one thing we need to keep an eye on: Jalen Hurts hurt himself in that game against the Rams. So keep an eye on that. He hurt his knee, so that could be a factor moving forward. But if I think if the Commanders can hold the Eagles to less than 100 yards rushing total, the Commanders will win this game. I think they will. I think Jaden Daniels is having a phenomenal playoff run. The moment is not too big for this kid, and I hate to say this, man. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm a Dolphins fan, to be candid with y'all. But with depending on the conditions, but I'm gonna say this: the Commanders are gonna go in Philly and they're gonna beat the Philadelphia Eagles. It will be the Chiefs and the Commanders in the Super Bowl. That's my pick. I'm sorry, Philly fans. It's going to be the Commanders and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think the Commanders are playing solid defense. Solid, not great, but solid defense. And I think when you're playing a team who's been on the roll like the Commanders have been the last 2 weeks, going to Tampa winning, going to Detroit and winning, and now you're going to Philly. You already beat this team already. But the last time you were there, you did not play as well. The first game. The second game, they went in there, they beat them 36-33. I think in this game, the question will be for the Eagles is can they impose their will? That's number one. And Jalen Carter. Now the Commanders did want to lose one of their best O linemen, but that will be the key in this game. The key in this game will be can the Commanders contain the Eagles' ground attack? And if so, can Marshawn Lattimore slow down A.J. Brown? But you still got the old boy Devon Smith on the other side. You still got to worry about. But I think if the Commanders can keep the game, keep the running game under 100, Commanders win. And I think they will. I think the Commanders will win this game. It's going to be a closer game, and I think it's going to come down to a field goal, and the Philly kicker will miss the field goal. I got the Commanders to win 24-21. Commanders on their way to the Super Bowl. So those are my picks. I think it's going to be the Chiefs and Commanders in the Super Bowl. KC will win 27-17, and I believe the Commanders will beat the Eagles 24-21. All right. Thanks, you folks.